And thank you, Diana. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank
So
you.
a big warm welcome to everybody who's here and who will be arriving. I know a lot of people squish this into a busy Saturday, so we appreciate it, even if you have to run late, because there's so many gems packed into this, 45 minutes to an hour. My name is Sharon Whiteman. It's my great pleasure and privilege to host this call with Gary and Diana. We've been doing it for a long time now, about 15 years. And yes, it's benevolently focused, but it's also very selfish because I benefit every week and it keeps me connected. It's education, it's inspiration, and it's a connection to an incredible Manatech family that we share together. That is vital. It's vital for the well-being of each of our families. And what you're about to hear today from Sarah is how every action that we take in regards to nourishing ourselves also nourishes a child who's disadvantaged and wouldn't have access to what we have. So it's just the best thing ever. I think it's been a little over about a year and a half since we've had Sarah, and we have lots of new people. I can see new people on the call today. Sarah is the executive director of the M5M Foundation. She leads the efforts that help combat the epidemic of childhood malnutrition. Previously, she had held the position of Director of Human Resources at Manatech and was a valued employee for over 9 years. She accepted the position of Executive Director of the M5M Foundation at its launch in January 2015. Sarah oversees the daily operations as well as coordinates the expansion of the organization's efforts. She has traveled extensively throughout her career, attending international mission outreaches and experiencing firsthand the effects of childhood malnutrition. In 2012, she had the privilege of visiting Guatemala with one of our partners, RU for Children, which solidified her passion to help others. She's always had a passion for helping children in need, and her dream has been realized with the M5M Foundation. God, I'm getting goosebumps on my goosebumps even reading that. So, Sarah, thank you so much for what you do, and I know it would have taken courage and a big leap of faith. Manatech is very supportive, and it's part of our culture, but I know you're the driver, and we're very appreciative to have you there.
Oh, thank you. It's been challenging, but wonderful. I can say it's such a joy to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the beginning. I know one of our valued partners here in Australasia just left, Sinead. She's gone on to expand her career, sadly for us. But I know she describes it as she came to Manatech for a job and she found a career and a lifestyle and a mission. And I can imagine just reading your beginnings with Manatech, it might not be dissimilar, it might be the same as that. So tell us the beginning of coming to Manatech and how that happened.
Sure. Well, I came to Manatech in 2005. I had applied for an human resources position and never heard anything. And then about 2 months later, it was actually a communications role within HR. And I was excited about it because I was going to get to use my college degree, which was English. And I thought, oh, my parents will be so happy that I'm doing something with my degree. But I never heard anything. And so 2 months later, they called me in for an interview. I came in and the HR person who was supposed to meet with me was an hour and a half late to our interview. She came in, interviewed me. I got a call about a month after that. So it was a long ordeal. I found out that actually they had hired someone else to fit my position. That person came into work and got really upset because there was construction over the weekend and her desk was not properly, I guess, secured. And so she felt like it was just not a very warm welcome. And so she resigned. So we laugh about it all the time because I'm like, no matter what, you guys got stuck with me. Even when you tried to hire someone else. So I don't know. That's how Providence works. I think sometimes I was meant to come to Manatech. So 2005 was my first year there, and I was in HR. That was my background. I had worked through HR departments, and they decided to move human resources over to marketing, and I was getting just to know everyone at that time. I mean, we were going through a big change with the computer system. They're in Global View. They're getting, JD Edwards. It was just, I mean, it was really changing. And I was kind of in the midst of all of the change. So I got to learn so much, and it was really great. As I kind of moved up in my career at HR, I really just continued. What was passion for me was going to different mission trips, different mission organizations. I visited Africa in 2009. I went to Uganda, and that totally changed my life. I'd been on other missions, but nothing like Africa. And so when I was there, one of the orphanages we were visiting, and this was with an outside organization, no one related to Manatech, but one of the orphanages I was visiting had manta bears, which just was coincidence. We had not planned that at all. So I was so proud. I really didn't know what all Manatech did until I went on that trip, because I had heard of Mana Relief at the time, but I wasn't that familiar with it, and I was kind of just, it wasn't something that as employees we really got to be part of. So that was my first introduction, and then I really started at that time talking with Sam all the time, because he knew everything that was going on, and I wanted to hear more of it. And so I feel like that little seed was planted in my heart in 2009. And then, of course, as things change and evolve, as they always do, I kind of just kept telling everyone that I felt like, with Mission 5 Million, when we started doing that, there kind of became more of a focus regarding, if you buy a product, then you're donating. Just the big social entrepreneurship move that we started having. I just wanted, as employees, for us to be as much a part of that as we could. So that was a really great part of being in HR, because every new hire we had, we could introduce to this company that you think you're coming in for a job, but you're really joining a movement. And it was fun to be able to deliver that message and see people really light up because they wanted to do something that was worthwhile as well. So that was exciting. So then 2014, the end of 2014, and I am pretty tired of human resources. So I started talking with Dr. Sinnott about what could I possibly do that might just incorporate a little bit more of the heart, because I was really missing that, and getting kind of bogged down in the day-to-day. And he mentioned that, they really wanted to move the foundation closer into Manatech, so it could be maybe more transparent with the field, just more of a driven focus for the associates as well, and for leadership to kind of have a hands-on approach into what was really going on as far as giving. And they took a chance on me because I raised my hand and said, I think I could do this, let's try. And they were perfectly willing to. So that is the beginning. And it's been 3 years. This will be our 4th year going into January. So I'm very excited about everything we've done.
It's so important, that connection to the culture that we are, because we're more than an income source. We're more than a wellness company. Mm-hmm. That we're making sure that we also are giving back to the world, really globally. And I think that whole social entrepreneur thing where they say it's I can't remember the quote, but he said that it's companies that aren't embracing giving to those less fortunate will be guilty of committing strategy malpractice without having some kind of focus like this. And I truly believe that in my heart of hearts, that that's where business, big corporate business, has to go in the future. And Manatech is a forerunner in that, and quite unique. So it's not the donations. Walk us through how that works. It's not after profit, or it's built right into it's before profit, isn't it? How does that work for you, Sarah?
Right. So every product that is purchased generates a donation immediately. And so that is not something that they take off, or, they look at overall sales. And for every product, there's a donation. And so on a monthly basis, Manatech sits down and they add it all up and they distribute it to M5M. And so with that, those funds, then I'm able to purchase the Fido blend. And we usually do that 3 times a year. We get huge shipments. This year was a little different because we partnered with Kids Around the World. So I think I did 9 shipments in total, which was it was a busy year. But it was great. It was so awesome to just be able to keep, producing the Fido blend, keep sending it out, keep getting the pictures of people receiving it. That was really fun. But that's how the donation works. So it's so great for people who are already taking like an omega-3. When you're talking to someone else, you can say, well, if you bought this one, you would nourish a child for a month. I mean, that's a no-brainer to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And, for those of you listening, I think we all need to get better at making sure that we include that in when we're talking to people, not just about their own personal goals, whether it be, to partner with Manatech for income or wellness. We have a mission that's very important and larger than life, really, in a way. So tell us more about the partners. So we've had various partners and that's changed a bit. Is it an exclusive agreement, or because they help with the distribution, like you partner with companies that are already on the ground? Is that how it works?
Yes. So I look for nonprofits to partner with. But right now with Kids Around the World, we have an exclusive agreement with them as far as they're utilizing our Fido blend. So they're not utilizing any other vitamin supplement. So it's kind of an exclusive with them. And then we still have the bulk program, which is Fido blend in the large boxes. And so we're still doing bulk in several different areas. South Africa, we're doing bulk in Guatemala. We're also doing bulk Fido blend with a partner called Hands at Work, and they actually have locations, Mozambique, Zambia. They actually have a little bit of in the South Sudan, so where there are some refugees, and they've been in the midst of a lot of turmoil there. They're getting Fido blend into those refugee camps as well. So there are other areas that are utilizing it, but when it comes to the meal packet, that one meal that Kids Around the World supplies, we are the only nutrition that's in that.
Wow. And so when that's, I know, what's the difference between the bulk and the reasoning behind it? I know we've seen pictures of you packing the little, what is it called? One something?
One meal, yes.
One meal. What's the difference in how those agreements happen, and what's the difference for the kids?
Well, so the big thing is that I've, up until this year, we had only done the bulk Fido blend, which is literally just large boxes of Fido blend powder. So we would have to partner with people who already had food. Most of it would be schools or some church organizations or other like community organizations that had feeding programs. Like the kids would come in after school sometimes to get a meal. We were partnering solely with people who had that because they had to have existing food to be able to put the Fido blend in there. But what we've found is we were traveling to South Africa, and I was with Landon Frederick, the chairman of my board, and then Stan Frederick was with us also. Chris Simons was with us, and we were there. We were, first of all, in an orphanage that we had been serving even through Manna Relief. So they had received Fido blend for like 6 years. They knew the major difference that it was making with the children, but they didn't have enough funding to provide food. So they were using the 1 meal packet because it has rice, lentils, vegetables. And they were actually able to use that, but there was a vitamin packet in that 1 meal that they were throwing away and then scooping Fido blend. And the director said, you guys might want to contact them because we're throwing these vitamins away because we know that PhytoBlend is better than anything they could be giving us. And it would actually work out so much easier if you could just call them and see if you could put PhytoBlend in their 1 meal packet. And we started talking, and they were looking for a nutritional supplement like ours, but just had been unable to find anything like that. And we started talking, and they were like, we're in 21 places. We would love to partner. We need about 8 million meals. Is that something that you can, commit to? And we said, yeah, we were able to. It was a stretch for us this year, but everyone provided, everyone worked really hard to get us there. So I'm so grateful. So those are the difference. The 1 meal provides the food. And that's what we found is talking with a lot of our organizations, they don't have the money for food. So this is a way that they can get food and nutrition, because the PhytoBlend is great, but if you don't have something, to feed the children
Protein.
with,
Yeah.
it's not being utilized.
That's amazing. And so 1 meal started this year.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what are they noticing in the difference of the children that they're reaching?
Well, it's been incredible. So far, we're getting more reports, which I'm going to be able to share. I'm really excited about. So it was April was the first shipment with 1 meal, which took a little while to get all formulated and packaged and sent over. So they've just now started noticing the results. But, it's the same thing that we see in other countries, that kids who are stunted in their growth, I mean, you'll look at a child who's 11 or 12 and they'll look the size of a 4 and 5-year-old. They're growing quickly. They're growing, they're gaining weight. The energy level is just worlds different, where before children didn't even have the energy to play. Now they're, running around and on a playground. They're, being able to swing or slide. Whereas before it was just a lot of lethargic children who didn't have the energy to do that because they weren't getting the nutrition.
Wow, that's amazing. I know for those of us that have been around for a while, some of the early photos that came out with like Aura and I can't remember the other girl's name. It's just, like just the difference, even in the Western world, parents and families are so undereducated about, like, obviously we have lots of food in the Western world. It's, probably increasing where people are having trouble putting food on the table, but it's nothing like, families experience in the third world. And there's nothing so obvious at the benefit of this quality nutrition that's actually real food that goes into the cells that makes a difference when you see it there. And you just think, wow, all kids need this. And it's so great that you're doing what you're doing, Sarah.
It's really amazing and eye-opening to see what malnourishment looks like firsthand. I mean, even just lesions on the skin or the thinning of hair or the lack of hair. I mean, all of that. But I think mostly when we start talking with these kids who are a little bit older and they can share with us how different they feel, that's when, for me, the tears just start flowing. Because if you're hearing it from someone who's actually experiencing the difference, a lot of the kids are too little to kind of tell us. But when you get into some of those 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that, can tell us that they used to not be able to play soccer and now they can play soccer, or they were never able to study because they were so tired. They would come into school and just fall asleep, and now they're getting nutrition and they know the difference. They know the difference between when they had it and when they didn't. And when you hear that, it's just incredible.
It's really amazing. And how are the locations chosen? Is it only where countries or locations where Manitech's open, or I know you go anywhere where someone can connect you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we try for sure. As long as we have the supply, we definitely try to check everyone out. There is an application process because A lot of us just want to make sure that we do our due diligence in who we're partnering with, but we really look for partners, who have a feeding program, unless they're wanting to utilize one meal, and then we kind of have to go through Kids Around the World with that, to partner together. But we look just in any area that we know that there's a need. So it's not just subject to only places that Manatech is. We look in a lot of other countries that Manatech hasn't gone into yet. I will say that, Mr. Bala is ready to expand everywhere he can. So that's always fun for me because I can get so excited hearing him talk about that. But yeah, we will go into all countries that have the need.
Okay, fantastic. So on your website, there's an application form. Is it M5M Foundation.org?
Yes.
Because we've got Laura on the call today, and she's got it in connection with a big organization that would like to connect with you. So
oh, great.
we look forward to hearing from Laura.
Yes, that'd
right
be
after
great.
the call. She might be doing it right now, knowing Manatech Associates. And we've got another question here. In the past, we used to get quite a few photos like the ones of Aura, and sorry, the other girl's name is escaping me. And that's been less so. Is that a compliance restriction in what we can do?
We are working some things out with compliance. So it is one of those issues. Also, it's honestly just been that some of our partners, I know that you can imagine that unless we're traveling there a lot, the organizations we partner with, they don't have cameras and equipment and so
Internet.
some of their feedback, they'll send me pictures, but it's on a cell phone. I can't use it, So as we start traveling more with Kids Around the World, and because they're a large organization, they're starting to send more photos. So you will start seeing them more and more. A couple of things that would help me so much is a lot of our stuff goes on Facebook, and I don't know if that's the best communication resource for every country, for you all. I'm not sure if you're receiving that. So we are going to start a newsletter in 2019. That would be a digital newsletter that could be sent over through email on a monthly basis, so you can get more of an update from us on, quickly from the field. So hoping that helps. We are ironing some things out with compliance, but yeah, I feel really good about being able to communicate and share more in the next year.
And so on Facebook, everybody, those of you who have not liked the Australasian Connect Facebook page, if you could like it, it's just facebook.com Australasian Connect. And then send me a message there, because then I can message you. If you send me a message, I can send a blast message, which I do for the calls, but I can also send out Sarah's link. And I can also make sure that you're connected on Facebook. But the newsletter sounds fantastic as well. That's a great initiative. Yeah. And on Facebook, you did a lot of work towards Giving Tuesday. How did that go for M5M?
It was amazing. So we raised enough for 56,000 meals, which is incredible. I mean, that is going to be huge for us. If you look at what we've already done, so we did 20 million servings in 2018. 8 million of those were the meals. So the 12 million others were through that bulk program I talked about. But I mean, last year we did 17 million. So I don't know how we did it, because everything was about the same, but we just
stretched,
somehow made 20 million, which is so encouraging to me, because I love seeing us grow and grow. It's wonderful every year to think of how we're increasing. And then on top of that we were able to give food this year with the one meal, because that was a lot more expensive than just the Fido blend. And so doing that as a donation, it's just been incredible. So yeah, I'm excited to put the report out for the end of this year that we hit 20 million. I think that's amazing. So
that's amazing. And the Giving Tuesday, was that successful?
It was. You know, I'm so surprised that Facebook allows us to do this now. You know, the donations, it's incredible. So we raised $7,000, which was amazing in just 24 hours. And Facebook matching some of that, you know, we were trying to get in as quickly as we could with everyone and notifying everyone. It's so different that it's just one day. But as you saw all the videos with Al Bala and Sona, everyone was at Landon, everyone was, you know, chipping in and sharing. So that was really exciting.
Yeah. So everybody here with a passion for what we do, especially in this area, the more you like and comment on M5M Foundation's Facebook page, the more reach they have for when they do these kind of charity blitzes in 24 hours. So if there hasn't been as much engagement from us, that's our job, then, you know, we have to back Sarah up. So the more we engage on that page and comment, the more reach they'll have the next time they have another opportunity for a Facebook matching program like that.
Yes. And I can connect on your Australasia Connect page. I can join that if you want me to and start sharing our posts
That'd be
on
great.
your Connect page as well. Because I do that for North America. Sometimes, you know, the algorithms of Facebook, sometimes you can miss things if you're not always logging on to check it out. So I'm happy to do that as well. That'd be
Absolutely.
great.
And we've had another question, a little bit more on the logistics. So how do these meals travel, and what's the distribution process like?
Well, it's actually a huge relief for me because before I had a partner like Kids Around the World, I was kind of coordinating with our supply chain department at Manatech and the manufacturer, and then we were trying to send everything over in a container. But with Kids Around the World, so they have 3 different programs. One of them is that they get refurbished playgrounds. So if you're, you know, looking at a community center, a park, they get new playgrounds in the US every 5 years, which is unbelievable to me. I'm
Yeah.
like, who can do that? That's amazing. So they end up, you know, tearing down the old playgrounds. They get them donated and they put them all over the world to these children who would never have a place to play. And so they're already shipping huge containers full of playground equipment. So along with that, they now ship our meals for us. So I don't have to pay for any of those logistics
Wow.
costs anymore. So they just directly ship them for us. And they have partners in those countries that are able to receive it, because sometimes that's difficult when you're talking about customs and dealing with every different regulation, you know, in other countries. They have a lot of, you know, different laws regarding nutritional supplements. And so luckily, since we are a nonprofit, we're considered a charity status, but sometimes you've really got to have someone on the other side to get that through. So they work out all of those logistics for us, and that's a real big relief for me, being a one-person operation who never had done that before. You know, it's great to have the experts that are taking care of that.
Absolutely. That's incredible leverage. And what a good use of relationship in business, isn't it?
It really is, yes.
Too bad the for-profits don't operate that way, helping
I
each other. I've got tears and goosebumps all through this call. It's really
Oh,
powerful. Thanks, Sarah. And
it's
so
great.
there's also been a question how they could make sure that they are on your newsletter list. Um,
Well, so I am working the logistics out of that. So I I know that Manatech has a lot of emails, but what I would love is if I could, I don't know, what's the best way if I started sending you a
Probably the
contact?
corporate list.
Yeah, so we're
Um,
going through the corporate list, but I know
yeah.
that some people may feel like, oh, I don't want to be left out. If they want to email me, just their email address and say, count me in for the newsletter,
And
yeah, I can
that's
double check.
sbowen@manatech.com, correct?
It's or you can do m5mfoundation.org, either one.
Okay.
I still receive both, so.
So I'm just putting that in the chat. So that's Sarah's email there for those that want to connect. So we've got Laura and Gabriella that both are anxious to connect you with this organization. So you'll be hearing about that.
Great.
And they've just asked me for the Facebook.com. So I've just put the Australasian Connect Facebook page in there as well. So if you could, you have to do 2 steps though. You have to like it and you have to send me a message. So then I can message you. That's like, you send me a message, you're giving me permission to connect with you. So thank you for that. It helps all the way around. And I'll do a better job of sharing with my page of M5M Foundation too. I didn't actually think about that. I mostly use it as an announcement page, but we can all do it. Yep, lots of people want to connect. You're going to be busy.
That's awesome. That's great.
And well, so that's one of the things I wanted to ask is how can people help? So, you know, what a giving community. They're already working out all kinds of ways and how they could help. Sarah, is I don't know. I'm sort of out of questions. I'll just make sure. Is M5M in Australia?
Yes, actually. So at first we were in New Zealand because we had an orphanage, a feeding program there. It was actually a kitchen, a community kitchen. And I believe when Nita Rebecca was visiting, she had some contacts there in Australia. So we've been able to ship some of the phytoblend that was in New Zealand that wouldn't be utilized as much to Australia. And so we're just kind of working out where to donate that product. So there is phytoblend in Australia. We're still working out some of those donation centers. And now that Sinead is gone, we're, you know, still going to be talking with other organizations there.
Yep. Okay. So there will be kind of a changeover period until they try and fill Sinead's big shoes.
Yes, and we haven't donated yet. I think they've done one donation in Australia. So, you know, until we get a really good partnership going there, they haven't started donating yet. But there's product there, that took us a while to get there. So that's good news.
Yeah, I'm sure we can all just imagine the amount of logistics that's involved in doing what you do. So creating those partnerships. And I know there's quite a few Indigenous feeding programs in Australia. That would be fantastic to see some of those Indigenous kids that, you know, are so disadvantaged getting this kind of support.
Yes, I've had calls with 2 organizations. So just kind of making sure that we're the right fit for those programs. So we encourage everyone to try the phytoblend first, giving them like a small sample just to make sure that it mixes well in their food that they're serving, you know, just so we can work out some of those little hang-ups that can happen because we want it to be such a positive experience. So we definitely start slow and then keep growing as word of mouth continues, because if you give too much in the beginning and then they're not bought in, it can be somewhat of a waste if you understand how that works. So we kind of have to start slow building the relationship. Yeah.
And I'm sure that actually, I forgot to get you to expand on what you're going to say about what you're working on with compliance, to be able to share more stories, because that would really help other organizations see the benefit. You should do conference calls with them all.
I would love to do that.
You have to zoom them in and get them talking about the differences, because live they can share those kind of things with each other.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah, we've gathered a few stories that just to kind of use as examples with compliance of like, you know, these are the things we want to share. Can you give us suggestions on areas where we need to be more careful? So, I mean, they've been really great to help with that. So I feel like we're getting a good understanding on what they're nervous about us saying and what, you know, because of course, when people are sharing from other countries, they're, you know, telling us all the cures and all of that stuff. So, you know, we know to filter a lot of that out, but still getting the message across as to what a difference this is making in the kids' lives.
Yeah, it's actually fairly easy to share compliantly, because it's just a re-education for our community,
Yes.
really. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And especially with malnutrition, I think that's an area that Manitex kind of, when we are talking with compliance, we want to be able to say how this is affecting those that are malnourished. So a lot of my job with compliance is to show them that we're not making up the malnourishment. They actually are. And these are the physical symptoms they're exhibiting to show that malnourishment, so we can make sure that we're saying the right things as well.
Yeah, it'd be good to find a center or a country that has access to some communications, because you could do some surveys, couldn't you? You could bring kids in and their grade point differences, or their ability to play, or even their own little stories.
Yes, and we've started doing that in Guatemala. We've actually started doing kind of measurements and all of that with them as a comparison to kind of see how it was in the beginning of this school year and then how it is in the end. So I'm excited to be able to share some of that stuff as well.
And what's the timing of that? Will it be like first quarter next year, or?
Yes. So their school year is different than we're used to. So they're off until February. So once they get back into school, we'll be able to kind of share some of those things.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think I've pretty covered everything that I wanted to cover, and I think we've got all the questions out of the chat. So Sarah, what's in your heart to leave us with today? What an important mission, what an important job that you're doing on behalf of all of us. Thank you. What would you like to leave people with today?
I think if I can say anything, it's thank you, because we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. And as far as the difference that you're making, I know that it's hard to understand and to grasp when you're not able to just get that information all the time. Like that with everybody you're talking to, the potential for us to be able to reach more children just grows exponentially. And so if there's anything that can be your spark, I hope that it's M5M, because we have the chance to, grow in such a dynamic way. As your business grows, then our business with these children, giving them nutrition can just grow along with you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So everyone who feels inspired by M5M, I would encourage you to use that energy to talk to more people, because this is an epidemic, as we know, and it's getting better, which is such a huge thing for us to see. We see so many organizations, because it's different from the nonprofit side. We partner together with other nonprofits, so there's no competitor for me. I'm like, you're helping starving children. That's amazing. We are too. And so there's a camaraderie and a building in that community where we, are tackling a problem to see it eliminated. And I think that sometimes we don't realize that it can end in our lifetime. That is our goal, for it to end in our lifetime. But as Manitech is growing, and as you are growing in your own business, I mean, you know how it is when Al speaks or Chris speaks about just that one person you could talk to that would blow your business up. They'll say that, you're talking to a million all the time, but you could ask that one person and it change everything for the course of your business. It's the same thing for us. So it's like I'm always just on pins and needles hearing about Manitech's growth, because in my mind, I'm like, if I have 50,000 people talking to their one person that's going to blow up, then I've got to get all of these partners ready, because we're going to have so much to give. And that's why, honestly, I just keep people in our database, of every organization I meet. This could be a potential for us when we grow. We might be just begging people to help us get it out there. And that's the position I want to be in. And so when we can partner with Al's vision for the company and that 2020 vision that he has as well, like, you know, where are we at in 2020? And I just keep thinking of what a wonderful problem to have is that we have so much phytoblend that we're trying to get in the mouths of children who need it. And that's the problem I want to have next year, you know. So I would just encourage you guys to keep growing. I know that, you know, it's sometimes hard to keep asking someone else, a new person, but every time you do, it helps us grow, and it helps children who are in the worst conditions. We can't even imagine it, you know. With kids around the world, we've been working even more in these refugee camps in Africa. I mean, people who are displaced, you know, they have nowhere to go. They've been just ravaged by war and tribal wars and, you know, horrible things that are happening, women and children being kidnapped. And, you know, it's just seeing these children who've lost their parents, who've potentially seen their entire family murdered before their eyes. I mean, we hear stories of that all the time. Or older siblings who are now having to care for younger children, younger brother and sister, because they, you know, their parents are gone. They never saw them again, or they were kidnapped and they've not been able to find their parents. But, you know, to see those older siblings come and find refuge in a playground, in a meal, and they don't even know the nutrition they're getting. You know, in those instances, it's like they just know that someone else is shouldering a burden for them. I mean, that's it, you know. And so I don't even know the expanse of where our reach is touching and changing lives. I don't even know where all of that is. So if you can imagine that for you, you know, I mean, in the end, I would love for us to be able to say, you connected here, you changed this child's life. And we may be able to do that eventually, but just knowing that we won't ever know the magnitude of what we've done. But it was good, and it's amazing, and it has a purpose, and children are counting on it. You know, they're counting on us growth. They're counting on that happening because they need it, you know, and no one else is able to supply it like we can. Catching the problem, you know, food is awesome, and great food is even better. Like what we're able to give in the one meal, non-GMO, you know, it's good nutrition, but adding that phytoblend on top, it's actually allowing their body to function properly. And that's just something that, you know, not a lot of other organizations have the funding to do. So we're really blessed to have that and the technology.
We've just had a great idea from Pauline, just saying that wouldn't it be fantastic if we found a, you know, like a production company to partner with to do a mini documentary of this work in partnership with kids around the world or something.
That would be amazing. I do love the idea of just following. We've kind of thrown around an idea of following one of these children, like a day in the life, you know, like getting up in the morning and going to the river to get the water, and, you know, what does it look like? And so, you know, I'm hopeful that we'd be able to do that. I think we've all talked about how great that would be to see.
That'd be fantastic. Sarah, God bless you. Thank you so very much for sharing with us. I know it's, you know, what we have is so much more than our personal benefits. And I think there's no one better than you to help people really remember that and feel that straight in the heart. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys. And have a great Saturday. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful holiday time. It's always so nice to be able to share these stories during this time of the year when you're thinking about your family and thinking about what really matters. So just
And
know that you're appreciated.
2019, Sarah, anything you want to promote, just let me know and we can set up a call. Don't wait for me to invite you.
I would love that. Okay, I won't.
Yeah,
I
next
won't
time
wait
you want
for
to do a big announcement, definitely
Okay.
it helps Australasia and it helps people remember why they're doing what they do.
Oh,
So
yes, I would love that.
thank you so very much. And everybody next week, Mr. Al Bala, I know everybody will want to be there. So Sarah, thank you so very much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. See you, Gary.
Thanks, Sarah. Excellent. Well done.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.